You know that feeling, right? That really strange, fleeting sense that you've lived this exact moment before? A conversation, a place, a look. It's brand new, but it feels ancient. Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. The absolutely fascinating concept of parallel lives.
Yeah, that's the sensation. The one that just sends a little shiver down your spine. And sure, it's easy to just brush it off as a simple brain glitch. But for that split second, you can't help but wonder, right? Is this an echo from another reality? A memory from a life you're living somewhere else, right now?
Of course, we have a name for this. Déjà vu, which is French for already seen. Now, science has a pretty straightforward label for it, a hallucination of familiarity. A little cognitive misfire. But that just doesn't feel like it captures the whole story, does it? Doesn't really explain that deep sense of mystery.
And that, right there, is the big question we're tackling in this explainer. Are these just little phantom signals in our brain's wiring? Or could they be quick glimpses into a reality that is way more complex, way more layered, and honestly, a whole lot stranger than we typically imagine? So, to start this journey, we're going right to the edge of what we think we know. We're heading into the truly mind-bending world of theoretical physics and the quantum multiverse. Okay, so at the core of this whole thing is something called the many worlds interpretation, or MWI for short. And to put it simply, it suggests that at the tiniest quantum level, the universe never just picks one path. Instead, it splits, and literally every single possible outcome happens, each one in its own separate parallel universe. You've probably heard of Schrödinger's cat, right? Well, it's the perfect way to wrap your head around this. MWI says that when you open that box, reality doesn't just pick one, it splits. And here's the wild part. You split too. One version of you finds a happy, living cat, and another, equally real version of you finds a dead one. Both outcomes are totally real. But get this, the many worlds idea is just one piece of the puzzle. It's one flavor of the multiverse. To help get all these incredible ideas organized, a cosmologist named Max Tegmark created a framework. Let's break down his framework, because it really opens things up. Okay, so this table is a great way to see it all. Level 1 is the idea that space is infinite. So just by pure probability, there are other Earths out there with other U's. Level 3 is the one we just talked about, the branching reality of MWI. And then you get to level 4, which is just, wow. We're talking completely different universes with their own totally alien laws of physics. So all this science stuff leads to a huge, kind of heavy question. I mean, if every single choice you could possibly make is actually made by some version of you in another universe, does the choice you make right here, right now, even matter? And to even begin to answer that, we've got to shift gears completely. We're leaving the vastness of outer space for a moment and journeying into an equally strange and massive universe, the one inside our own heads. So here's the big debate, right? Is that weird déjà vu feeling a real connection, a tiny glimpse into another reality? Or is it just our amazing but sometimes glitchy brains playing tricks on us? Is it just a byproduct of our own neurology? Well, neuroscience has a few pretty good ideas. One is a memory illusion, where a part of your brain basically says, hey, this is familiar, without actually pulling up the memory file. Or, get this, it could be a perceptual gap. Your brain processes the same thing twice, just milliseconds apart, and it gets confused, thinking the second one is a memory of the first. And you know what? It's not just about weird glitches. We're actually wired to create parallel lives in our minds through what psychologists call counterfactual thinking. It's the what-if game we all play. We're constantly imagining these other versions of our lives, building our own little multiverses in our minds, all the time. But here's the thing, long before any physicist or neuroscientist was thinking about this stuff, humanity was already exploring these ideas. So for our third stop, we're going to journey back in time and look at some of the rich, ancient spiritual maps of layered realities.
Take Hindu cosmology, for instance. Here, the universe isn't just one place. It's made up of 14 coexisting realms, or lokas. And the key thing to get here is that these aren't just like different planets. They're different states of consciousness, from our Earth realm all the way up to the highest realm of pure truth. You see something similar in Buddhism with its 6 realms of rebirth. And what's really interesting here is how they view the human realm. It's seen as this precious opportunity, a kind of cosmic sweet spot. Not too blissful like the gods, not too miserable like the hells, but just right for waking up and achieving enlightenment. And this is where things get really cool. In ancient shamanic traditions, there's this idea of dreaming the world into being.
that consciousness can actually shape reality. And when you think about it, it sounds an awful lot like the quantum physics idea, that just by observing something, you can change it. How amazing is that?
All right, so we've gone from quantum physics to psychology, all the way back to ancient wisdom. So for this last part, let's try to pull all these incredible threads together and figure out, what does this all mean for us right now?
And it points to this really mind-blowing idea. What if these aren't different, competing answers? What if the physical multiverse, the brain's internal worlds, and the spiritual cosmos are all just different maps, different languages, trying to describe the exact same, deeply complex, layered reality?
That's a pretty huge idea, right? But then there's some evidence that's, well, it's a lot more direct and honestly, pretty startling. Think about this number, over 2,500. That's the number of scientifically investigated cases of young children who report having specific, detailed memories of past lives.
Yeah, researchers have seriously looked into thousands of these cases. Like James Leininger, a little boy with just jaw-droppingly accurate memories of being a World War II pilot. Or cases where kids have birthmarks that perfectly match up with fatal wounds from the life they claim to remember, confirmed by things like autopsy reports. It's hard to just dismiss. So when you put it all together, this whole journey kind of suggests something profound. Maybe the real search for parallel lives isn't about looking out there into space. Maybe the true parallel lives are right here within us, a living reflection of the infinite possibilities that exist in every single moment and in every single choice we make.
Which leaves us with one last really powerful question to think about. The parallel lives you could live are infinite. So, which self are you going to choose to become?